This sales system is going to help you to generate your next $1 million worth of revenue. I am so confident in that. This video is going to be an absolute banger. If you're a marketing director or an entrepreneur, you're responsible for growth, then I'm going to take you through something really carefully. I have been looking at over 8,000 different businesses and what's working, what's not working, and I've found something that is a cracking good system. We're going to go through step by step, really carefully. You definitely want to have a pen and paper with this video, and we're going to walk away with something that you can implement straight away, and it'll be an evergreen asset for the next 12, 24, 36 months. And this is going to add serious lead generation. Now, this is going to be particularly perfect if you are in the business of selling services, if you have B2B sales, if you have an agency, if you have a SaaS business, if you've got a business that offers some sort of complex solution. What this is not particularly great at is if you've got something that is a commoditized thing that you might find on Amazon. It's highly visual, it's self-explanatory, it's cups, it's mugs, it's t-shirts, it's hoodies. Forget about this. This is going to be complete overkill. But if you are a consultant, a coach, an agency, or anything that is solutions orientated for your clients, this is going to be a killer. Let's get into it. So what is the system? This is called a 15-question quiz, and it's an online assessment that your clients can take. They're going to assess whether they're ready to get a new result. They're going to assess whether they're ready to get rid of a frustration or an obstacle that they've been frustrated by. They're going to answer 15 questions. I'm going to tell you what those questions are specifically, and then they're going to get an immediate result. And as a result of this, you are going to be able to run around selling the assessment rather than selling what you do. And as soon as somebody takes the assessment, they're going to get immediate recommendations, and they're going to want to work with you to implement those recommendations. And it's fast, it's so quick. The speed that people take the assessment and then want to buy is like shortening the sales cycle by half. So we're going to get into this step by step. There's 3 elements to this. There's a landing page where people are going to discover that the assessment exists and why they should take it. There's the data capture or the quiz section, and then there's the dynamic results where they immediately get their results and they can see what to do next. So we've got these 3 sections that we've got to put in place. And what I've done is I've broken down exactly what you need to do on the landing page. What are the 15 questions you want to have in the data capture? And then what are the dynamic results and the next step recommendations that you're going to have on the page there. This is going to be so easy to automate because you can use templates that we've already got set up, and they're free templates, and you can basically test this and get it set up. And it's going to be absolutely easy for you to get this set up in 30 to 60 minutes, and then it will last a year, 2 years, or even 3 years. So let's get into the landing page. The first thing that you need on the landing page is, of course, a hook. So the hook, there are 2 hooks that I want you to explore. The first hook is called a frustration headline. A frustration headline is where you empathize with the frustration that somebody is experiencing and you name the frustration. So you might say, feeling frustrated that you're not getting financial returns in your portfolio, or feeling frustrated that your business is at risk of cyber attack, feeling frustrated that you are not dating the right people, feeling frustrated that your business has stopped growing, right? So anything that is like frustration orientated, you're connecting with people's current frustration. So think about your perfect customer, the ideal customer persona. And what I want you to do is imagine, what is it that they're frustrated by right now? What is it that some of the things that they've noticed that are less than perfect in their life? And see if you can come up with one sentence that would connect with that frustration. So that's called a frustration headline. The next type of headline is called a readiness headline. A readiness headline is, are you ready to blank? Are you ready to run your first marathon? Are you ready to start dating the right people? Are you ready to write your first book? Are you ready to be cybersecurity safe? So essentially you're naming the outcome that people want, right? So you're looking at what is the thing that people want? What is their desired outcome? And you're saying, are you ready to get that desired outcome? So think about your ideal customer persona. What do they wish they could achieve? What is the thing that they want to achieve as a next step? What is the next outcome that they're excited to get? If you can name the next outcome that they're excited to get and say, are you ready for that outcome? Then you've got their attention. So the hook is either a frustration hook or a readiness hook. And then you're going to say, answer 15 questions to find out. Are you ready to run your first marathon? Answer 15 questions to find out. Are you ready to start dating the right people? Answer 15 questions to find out. Are you ready to write a book? Answer 15 questions to find out. So it's basically the headline, the hook, followed by answer 15 questions to find out. So that's the top part, that's the hook. So immediately below the hook, we want to have 3 benefits. And there's a special way that I want you to write this on the page. I want you to say, This assessment will help you to measure and improve 3 things. So the key word here is it's going to measure and improve 3 things. So you might say this assessment is going to measure and improve the amount of quality sleep you get, the quality of your diet, and the intensity of your exercise so that you get better results with fitness and health. This is going to measure and improve your marketing, your systems, and your financial control, right? So it's going to basically hit on the 3 things that people get frustrated with around the result that they want. So whatever are the main 3 things that people know that they need to measure and improve, you want to say this is going to measure and improve those 3 things. So this is going to basically outline the benefit of taking the assessment. So they're going to read the hook, and then it's going to say it's going to measure and improve these 3 things. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to build authority and credibility. So this is where you're going to introduce yourself, and there's 3 parts that I want you to have with your authority and your credibility. Number 1 is you're going to introduce yourself and you're going to do your bio. So your bio is just a little bit about your background. The next thing you're going to do is cite some research that relates to this quiz that you're going to create. So if you use ChatGPT, you can find research that relates to getting the result that you're going to talk about. There will be academic research, there will be multiple different studies, and so long as you cite those studies as part of the research, and especially if you cite them here, so you might say, this is based on research from Harvard University into business growth, or this is based on research from MIT into cybersecurity, right? So you're going to cite some research, and then you're going to give people a testimonial. Except it's a different type of testimonial. It's not going to be a testimonial for your solution. It's not going to be a testimonial for you or for your business. It's going to be a testimonial for doing the assessment. So you're going to have something like, I took the assessment and got immediate clarity. I took the assessment and found out what was wrong. I took the assessment and got an immediate path to get started on. So the testimonial is not about you and what you do. It's the testimonial for doing the assessment. Okay, the final thing that we want is we want to have what's called a call to action. Now there's going to be a few buttons around here. There'll be a button here and there'll be a button probably here. And then there's going to be a button down the bottom here. So there'll be multiple buttons to get started on the scorecard or get started on the quiz. But the call to action at the very bottom has to be the grand call to action. This is the main call to action. There's a few things that I want you to put on this main call to action. I want you to say, start the quiz. It's only 15 questions and it only takes 3 minutes, right? So you want to, the system that I'm going to give you, the software that I'm going to give you will tell you the average time. So you can say, start the assessment. It only requires you to answer 15 questions. It takes less than 3 minutes. And then you're going to say, you'll get immediate results and it's free, right? So you want to say that it's free to take this. It doesn't cost anything. And you get immediate results. You'll get immediate recommendations. So if you can put the words immediate recommendations and it's free, if you can say that it takes less than 3 minutes, so you're just handling all the objections. Should I do it later? Do I have to pay for it? Am I going to have to wait to get my results? No, none of that. It's free, it's immediate, right? That's all there on that call to action. So we've got a hook, we've got 3 benefits, we've got your authority and credibility, a little testimonial there for taking the assessment, and then a call to action. And that is our high-performing landing page. Now, these landing pages, they outperform your normal website by about 10x. So if you send traffic to your normal homepage, 2 to 4% of people will become a lead. If you send traffic to this landing page, 20 to 40% of people are going to become a lead. This is going to massively increase the leads that you get just because of that format of that landing page. So the next section is the data capture section. And this is where we're going to capture name and email and location, but the location will actually be automatically tracked based on IP address. So you really only just have to ask their name and their email address, and that automatically adds people to your database with just their name and email. And then we've got our 15 questions. So what are we going to ask people in these 15 questions? There's a formula to this, and I want you to make sure that your questions follow exactly this formula. So the first 10 questions are going to be called the best practices questions. These are where you're going to ask people, are they following best practices? And there could be 2 types of ways that you ask this. This is basically, are you doing the right things or are you doing the wrong things? So you might say, are you getting to bed at the same time every night? Do you look at your phone before bed, right? So are you doing the right things, getting to bed at the same time every night to improve sleep? Are you doing the wrong things, which is like looking at your phone right before bed, before you go to sleep? That's going to not improve sleep. So essentially, you're going to ask 10 questions that are essentially in line with best practices. If you're doing this thing, then that's a good thing. If you're doing this thing, it's a bad thing. And you're going to combine 10 of those. So you're going to ask people, what are their behaviors? What are they doing or not doing? And it's going to be in line with established best practices. And the perfect scenario here is that you make people realize that they're doing a lot of things that need to improve. So 1 to 10 questions around the best practices, adherence or not. Then the next question is going to be what we call the current reality question. Current reality is which of the following categories best describes your current situation. So you're going to ask people which best describes your current situation, and you might say, I'm a student, I'm an executive, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a leader. Or you might say, I'm in my 20s, I'm in between age 30 and 50, I'm over 50. Or you might say, I'm a beginner, I'm intermediate, I'm advanced. You might say, I have no employees, it's just me. I've got 10 employees, 1 to 10 employees. I've got 10 to 100 employees. I've got 100 plus employees. So you're gonna ask something that helps you to understand their current situation. So that is the current reality question. The next question is called the desired reality question. So the desired reality question is which best describes the outcome you're looking for. So which best describes the outcome you're looking for. I wish I could have this, or this. I wish I would get to this situation. I wish my life would end up looking like this. So it's essentially getting them to think about what is the desired reality, what is the desired outcome that they're looking for, and they have to select one of the main desired outcomes that they're looking for. So the next question is called the obstacle question. This is where you're asking people, what have they tried that hasn't worked in the past? You might say something like, what have you tried in the past that hasn't worked, right? So you're asking for obstacles, or what do you perceive is the barrier for you getting the result that you want, right? So those are great obstacle questions. And you're gonna give people a list of things, and they can probably select a few of these, right? So you could actually have the buttons where they can select any number of those. They can say, I tried this and it didn't work. I tried this and it didn't work, right? So you're asking people for the things that didn't work. The reason that we're doing this formula is because this is building a picture in the mind of your customer. Their current reality is different to their desired reality, and they face obstacles that they haven't been able to get past. Now, what we're doing here is we're using a psychological technique where we're getting people to acknowledge that their current reality does not match their desired reality, and they've tried things in the past that didn't work. They haven't been able to achieve this in the past on their own, right? So they've got obstacles, and that is a very powerful mental framework that allows people to get ready to buy something. So our final questions, what are we going to do? We're going to ask them for their preferred solution. So the preferred option or the preferred solution. So you might ask the question, which type of solution would best suit your needs? And you might say a software solution, a one-to-one solution, a group activity solution, an agency solution, an educational platform, right? So you could give people a few little options as to which would suit their current needs. And implied in that is also what is their budget, because you might say a do-it-yourself kit or a done-for-you agency solution. People know that those things are going to cost different amounts. So you're asking people the preferred option. The final question is actually one that I only added recently, and it is one of the best questions that you can add, and that is the anything else question. And basically, the final question is there anything else you want me to know? And it's a little open text box. They don't have to do anything with this. It's not essential. You toggle it off so they can do it or not do it. It's an optional question. But is there anything else you'd like me to know, or is there anything else you'd like us to know? Is an open text question, and you'd be absolutely shocked what people put in here. They often put things like, I've already watched your podcast and I'm ready to get started, or I'm really urgently wanting to get this sorted out next week, or we have a budget of $10,000 to spend. Can you please get back to us soon? You would be shocked. At this point, people have identified best practices. They know that you know the best practices and they know the best practices. They've identified that their current reality is different to their desired reality. There are obstacles that they face. They have a preferred option. And by the time you ask the final question, which is there anything else? They literally tell you what is their criteria for buying. It's quite shocking. Not everyone does it, but you'd be surprised at how many amazing responses come through that question. Okay, so now we are at the dynamic results section. This is where they've answered all of these questions and they're going to get an immediate result. As soon as they answer that last question, this page loads, and the first thing they're going to see is how they scored. So they're going to get their scores. There's a few different ways that you can present the scores. You can have a traffic light system, so you can have green light, amber light, red light. You can tell people your green light for readiness, your amber light for readiness, your red light for readiness. You can have a speedometer. I like the speedometer. There's a thermometer. You're hot, you're warm, you're cold. You can have just a number, right? 76%, 3 out of 10, whatever it is, right? So there's different ways that you can present the scores. So you're going to give people their scores, how they scored out of the questions. And also the system, the software system at scoreapp.com allows that to automatically be calculated. All you have to do is just basically rank the questions and it'll automatically create a score. The next thing you're going to do is give people 2 to 3 insights. So you're going to tell them what are 2 or 3 things that they need to know about getting improvement. So you're going to give them a little bit of content about their situation and what they need to do differently. So based on how you scored, here's 2 or 3 things that you should know. And this is dynamic. So you can actually load this up with different content for red light, amber light, or green light. You can have different content for high scoring or low scoring or mid scoring. So you can have this different content that appears that gives people a couple of different insights about their circumstances. What we want to do next is we want to use some dynamic content for our warm introduction. So this is where you introduce yourself. So we want to have intro 1 and intro 2. And we want to record 2 separate videos or have 2 separate introductions based upon whether they're a high scorer who's ready to go or a low scorer that you don't really want to work with. So essentially you want to begin qualifying people at this point. So let's say someone is the perfect client. You want to let people know that you would be perfect for helping them and you've helped people like them in the past. Or if they're not really the perfect client, you might want to do just a basic introduction and let people know essentially that you're not the perfect solution for them because you're perhaps too expensive or that you don't offer what it is that they're looking for based upon what they said their preferred option was. So you have a couple of different introductions here. The next thing we have is our next steps. So we want to have next step 1 or next step 2. So next step 1 is for highly qualified buyers. This is where you might recommend that someone has a one-to-one with you or that they join you for a workshop. Next step 2 is for people you want to disqualify. This might be that you give them a piece of content to go to next. It might be that you recommend a book. It might be that you recommend a group event on Zoom or something like that. So essentially you want to distinguish between people who are perfect, highly qualified versus much less qualified buyers. And essentially you're either allocating more time and resource to the qualified or allocating less time and resource to the less qualified people. So essentially that dynamic results page is starting to do the work of allocating your time and your resource to the right people. Now, if you really want to ramp this up another level, you can add a PDF. So a PDF is a really cool thing where you send that out to them as a PDF. This is where you put together a big report. It sits on their computer. Every time they do some search in their Spotlight, the PDF is going to come up. It's going to be able to be searchable on their computer. It's going to download on their computer. A lot of people print out the PDF. So I really recommend if you can put together a PDF report that goes with this, then send people the PDF. And you can automate that in the Scoreapp system as well. And then you want to do some follow-up email. So you want to do like a nurture sequence of emails so that you connect with people if they're right. You want to make sure that you connect with them ongoing. You might send them access to your social media. You might give them some additional content. You might invite them to an event that you've got coming up. All of that can be in the nurture sequence there. But essentially what's special about this system is the way that you do the landing page, the way that you ask the 15 questions, and the way that you do the dynamic responses. Okay, so this is going to take you probably an hour, maybe 2 hours to set up at most. You're going to use scoreapp.com and you're going to start with a free account and you're going to set up using one of our templates. There's about 150 templates to choose from, and you're going to basically engineer it according to this little system here. When you set this up, it's going to last for 12, 24, or 36 months. It's going to be an evergreen asset that lasts for years. Now, I know a lot of you are already coming up with new content ideas every single week. You're coming up with new YouTube videos, you're coming up with newsletter content, you're coming up with all sorts of stuff that you have to get creative every week or every month. This is going to be one of these things that you get creative one time and you put it in place, and this then complements everything else that you've got. So if you've got a newsletter, you give some content and you send people to the scorecard. If you've got a YouTube channel, you give some content and send people to the scorecard. If you are active on LinkedIn, you do your normal LinkedIn post and then you do PS, take the scorecard, take the assessment. And essentially you're getting all of your readers, your top of funnel content consumers, to take the next step, which is the assessment. Now, one of the most powerful things when you've got this set up is that rather than selling what you do, you sell the assessment for what you do. So you start running around not saying, check me out, I'm amazing, I'm a great solution provider. You say, check out this assessment is going to help you. So if you're a doctor, you wouldn't say, I want to put your leg in a cast. You'd say, I want to get you an x-ray to see if your leg needs to be in a cast or not. And that selling the assessment as the next step is a very, very powerful thing. It's super powerful for B2B services, coaches and consultants, agencies, and SaaS products that are solution orientated. Any of those types of products or services, this is going to work really, really well. It's going to be transformational for your marketing. I have seen people getting 100, 200, 300 leads a month through this little system, and it's just awesome how highly qualified those buyers are. So there you have it. This is my $1 million system. I challenge you to set this up and get 7 figures worth of additional revenue in the year ahead just through this one little lead magnet, this one online assessment. If you set this up correctly, I think you're going to find it a piece of cake to get your next 7 figures of revenue if you're using this system. If you've enjoyed this video, give me a like, give me a comment, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be putting more and more content like this out every single week. So make sure that you're following the channel. I read every single comment and I look forward to seeing you soon. All the best.